3 jaw-dropping reasons older women must avoid younger men forever. You won't believe too. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a blood-red shimmer over the small town of Maplewood, bringing whispers of secrets and unspoken truths. This was not just another ordinary evening. Electric tension hung in the air, waiting to explode. It was the kind of night when you just knew something shocking was about to unfold. And it did, in a way that would have onlookers clutching their pearls, sparking rumors that would ripple through the town like a sudden thunderstorm. At the local cafe, women gathered, exchanging knowing glances over steaming mugs. They were a mix of ages, but all sighed as they shared the latest tale of a friend who went on a date with a guy 10 years younger. "You'd think she'd learned from the last one," murmured Linda, flattening her brow. "He ghosted her after the 5th date, right when she started to care." The others nodded, wide eyes and gasps echoing through the space, each heartbeat fueling the intrigue, but it didn't stop there. As stories of heartbreak piled up, a figure emerged, a shadowy man in a leather jacket. He strutted past, and women whispered about his enigmatic charm, stirring memories of younger flames. He threw an enticing glance toward Sheila, a woman in her late 40s who had seen love and loss, and that flicker in her heart reminded her of youthful chances missed. There he was, the embodiment of temptation and disaster. They all knew the pattern: younger guys were reckless, love was fragile, and the price of passion could be more than anyone bargained for. Could it be that these magnetic younger men were a siren's call, luring women into heartbreak and insecurity? As Sheila shifted in her seat, the lump in her throat grew heavier. The tension in the room thickened, and everyone felt it, like when you step out on a frosty morning, and your breath clouds before you. They shared their own fears about chasing after fleeting feelings, each revelation striking like a cold gust of wind. "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The air crackled as the tension escalated. Whispers intensified, silly jokes turned serious. "Well, what do you think will happen when Sheila gives in?" someone asked, voice barely above a whisper, yet sharp enough to cut through the murmurs. A chill ran through the group, unease bounced from face to face. They all knew once the heart got involved, there was no turning back. Eyes fell back to Sheila, who was now biting her lip, contemplating the madness brewing inside her. What would she risk for a thrill? Was it worth dabbling in the unpredictable waters of young love when the costs could be so high? And in that moment, as everyone held their breath, a loud crash erupted from outside. The clatter of chairs and startled screams painted the tension in technicolor. It was a break in the fabric of the night, the kind of interruption that hinted at more than just chaos, but perhaps the moment where a choice had to be faced, bringing forth secrets that had long been buried. What could possibly happen next? Would the thrill outweigh the pain, or was Maplewood just on the cusp of something much darker? The screams reverberated through the cafe, a cacophony of shock that sent adrenaline racing through Sheila's veins. She leaped up from her seat, heart pounding, eyes wide as the townsfolk rushed toward the windows. The sound of breaking glass echoed outside, and an ominous figure loomed just beyond the cafe's entrance. What on earth was that? The question hung painfully in the air, a knot of dread curling in Sheila's stomach. She turned to the group, their faces pale as they clutched their mugs like lifelines. Linda, shaking her head, tried to stay calm. It couldn't be, could it? But it was. A dark shadow danced among the flickering streetlights. No, multiple shadows. A set of figures emerged, looking almost ethereal against the crimson sky. Sheila felt a rush of heat, a flash of recognition igniting her memories, a fierce, reckless past she thought she'd buried. Suddenly, a young man in a leather jacket burst through the door, panting, wild-eyed. They're coming. he yelled. The atmosphere shifted from tense whispers to horrifying realization. The questions flooded through Sheila's mind. Who were they? What did he mean by coming? Chaos erupted as the cafe erupted into panic. Women stumbled backward, dropping their cups, scalding coffee spilling like dark secrets onto the floor. Sheila stepped back, her body moving almost without her consent, instinctively wanting to shield herself from whatever nightmare was unfolding outside. As the crowd pressed toward the back of the cafe, trying to escape the imminent danger, Sheila found herself standing frozen in place. Memories of past romances flashed before her eyes, the thrill of the chase, the all-consuming passion, the heartaches that followed. Was indulging in those fleeting flames worth it? The leather-jacketed man returned to the doorway, his breathing heavy. You don't understand. They're not here for the reasons you think. What do you mean? One woman shouted, her voice shaky with fear. They're after something much deeper than love. The gravity of his words hung in the air as if the very essence of the town was at stake. And in that charged moment, Sheila felt an inexplicable pull toward the danger outside. Was this her second chance to break free from the weight of regret? Or was it a fool's errand, one that would only lead her down a darker path? The man grabbed Sheila's arm, his grip firm yet desperate. Don't you see? This is our chance to reclaim what's ours. We can't let fear drive us. She found herself torn between the safety of the cafe filled with familiar faces, and a fierce, terrifying excitement that beckoned from the chaos outside. The moment stretched, and she realized that most nights passed with mundane choices, but this night was different. It was shrouded in the promise of darkness and intrigue that had been missing from her life. With a deep breath that hung in her throat like a secret, Sheila stepped toward the door. But just as she was about to cross the threshold, the figure in the leather jacket shouted again, "If you want to survive the night, you must decide where your heart truly lies." Heart racing, she glanced back at her friends' faces contorted in terror, worry knitting their brows. The clock was ticking, choices were stacking up like a deck of cards ready to fall. What lay ahead was unknown and thrilling, yet could plunge her into the depths of regret once more. Was she brave enough to face the shadows, or would she let fear hold her back? And as she hesitated, the door slammed shut behind the man, sealing off one life and opening another. Would it be the exhilarating ride she craved or a plunge into darkness that would shatter everything? The air thickened, anticipation hanging as the shadows outside flickered again. Something was coming, something that would change everything for Sheila and her friends in Maplewood forever. The ground trembled beneath Sheila's feet as she stood at the threshold, caught in a battle between fear and daredevilry. The figures outside shifted, swirling in the fraying light, their intentions obscured. A low rumble ignited a surge of panic in the cafe. The terrified whispers echoed her own racing heart. How long could they stay hidden from what lurked just outside? Come on, Sheila. The leather-clad man's eyes held a frantic fire, pleading for her to join him. He stepped away from the doorway, revealing more of the chaos outside. The figures were closer now, faces partially shrouded in the depths of shadow. Panic-stricken breath escaped her lips, their eyes flickered like embers, unsettling, unyielding. They're coming for what belongs to us, he continued, urgency prickling the air. And if we wait any longer, we'll lose everything. Sheila's mind raced. What could they possibly want? Love? Heartache? Or something darker? She had left behind anything associated with that reckless past. Could she really step back into its chaos? Linda grasped her wrist hard enough for Sheila to feel the warmth of her fear. Don't do this, they'll tear you apart. There was a tremor in her voice that sent chills racing down her spine. The weight of friendship pressed against her. Would she abandon them? But the allure of the unknown shimmered brighter. You need to trust me, screamed the man, urgency pushing him closer, desperation dripping from every word. Before she could process her own thoughts, she felt herself inching toward the doorway. Her friends' frightened faces blurred, becoming specters of her past. The cafe's safety faded like a distant memory, swallowing her nostalgia. What was waiting in the dark? Adventure? Heartbreak? Or death? Suddenly, a loud crash pierced the night. Glass shattered, sending shards sparkling across the rough pavement like stars fallen to earth. A figure burst through the broken window, a grotesque distortion of limbs and shadow. Gasps erupted around her, her heart drummed fiercely in her chest, her instincts screamed at her to retreat, but then there was a rush of voices echoing the leather jacket man's fervent words. "This is your chance, Sheila. They can't stop us if we move together." Just as Sheila's resolve began to solidify, wonder twisted with dread as the tall shadow loomed closer. Its form was shifting, breathing erratically. It caught the light for a brief moment, revealing hollow eyes piercing straight into her soul. Time stilled. A chill ran down her spine. "What do they want?" Someone shrieked, eyes wide and unseeing. "Power. They're hunting for what we hold dear." The man shouted back. A wave of shock rolled through the cafe as the other silhouettes multiplied, creeping ever closer. The air felt thick with tension, the sweet scent of fear palpable enough to taste. The energy crackled like dry lightning, surging between Sheila and the shadows. Sheila felt the pull, the yearning for the energy outside, the promise of reclaiming lost parts of herself, yet the voices of her friends clawed for her attention, desperate reminders of the safety and normalcy they all craved. With a sudden wildness, Sheila sampled that dark thrill breaking within her. Then, just as she was about to step over the threshold, a piercing scream pierced the night, a cry that echoed her own internal disarray. "No! Don't go out there." It was Linda, desperation in her voice. The shadows coalesced, a figure breaking from the mass, its form fusing with the darkness yet somehow distinct. The crowd held its breath, and for a fleeting moment, the chaos outside seemed to pause, but then, the shadow loomed, extending a hand, beckoning her. An invitation wrapped in fear and promise. The world inside the cafe held her tightly with friendly desperation, while the outside whispered a seductive call, urging her to risk it all. And as Sheila's heart raced, a question hung suspended in the air: was it time to embrace the shadow, or reclaim her lost safety? The answer lay just beyond her reach, flickering in the encroaching darkness. Would she choose light or surrender to the seductive pitch of night? The moment stretched, a tightrope between reality and the abyss. Sheila's heart thundered, locked in a battle of instinct. She felt the weight of every decision pounding in her chest. The tantalizing darkness beyond the door shimmered with unspoken promises, yet her sanctuary remained just behind her, flooded with the warmth of camaraderie and fear. The figure in the shadows stepped closer, its hand outstretched, fingers curling like a vine. An unearthly whisper floated into her mind, promising freedom, adventure, and a return to the fire that once fueled her spirit. It coiled around her heart, squeezing tightly, urging her to leap into the unknown. "Don't do this, Sheila." Linda's voice cracked, snapping through the fog of temptation. "You don't know what they'll do to you." But Sheila felt the powerful urge to chase the dark. What if there was something in there that could fill the empty corners of her soul? What if she could reclaim more than just her lost bravado? Another deafening crash erupted through the cafe, a table flipped over, its legs splintering against the floor. A woman screamed, breaking the rhythm of encroaching chaos. People scrambled back, eyes wide with unfiltered fear. Sheila stumbled backward, the leather-clad man's grip still firm around her arm. "Stay with me," he yelled, his voice rising over the din. "Together, we can stand against this." The walls felt like they were vibrating, as if even the building sensed the danger lurking beyond. Shadows slithered closer, and with each passing second, the boundary between light and dark frayed like an old thread. Sheila turned to her friends, their faces pale, pleading. A low growl rumbled from outside, seeping through the cracks and filling the void with dread. The figures seemed to pulse, a living nightmare inching toward her shadows with purpose, each step drawing forth her instincts to flee. "I can't," Sheila began, but her words faltered as the shadows coalesced into one monstrous entity, towering and menacing. Its eyes glowed now, pinpoints of light in a dark abyss, and the ground shook beneath it in a terrible symphony of power. "Join us, or be consumed." The shadowed figure hissed, the voice like 1,000 whispers echoing like thunder. Sheila felt the floor beneath her feet shift, the gravity of the moment pulling her toward the darkness. She was caught in its gravitational pull, heart racing, breath quickening. Was it really a choice? Would she even have a say in the matter? With an instinct she couldn't quite understand, she clenched her teeth and wrestled with the decision, her friend's fearful pleas raging against the seductive call of the abyss. Just then, a sudden crack echoed and a splintering light forced the shadows to retreat momentarily. A flickering street lamp spilled its glow into the café, illuminating the figures outside even as they writhed in anger. "Now!" the leather-clad man urged, his eyes full of determination. "This is our moment." But just as she took a tentative step forward, a deafening roar erupted from within the mass, echoing like the fury of 1,000 storms. The shadows surged, crashing toward her like a wave, intent on sweeping her away. Sheila's heart threatened to break free from her chest. In that heartbeat of chaos, truth coalesced around her. A choice had to be made. Embrace the shadows or fight for her friends. The energy crackled like dry leaves ready to ignite. She was on the razor's edge. And then, something unexpected happened. One of the figures broke away from the pack entirely, its shape morphing until it was clearly a frantic silhouette of a man. Sheila squinted to see him more clearly, the glint of recognition shimmering in the confusion. "Help me!" he shouted, reaching out with trembling hands, drawing her deeper into the depths of the unknown. Would she save him or preserve her own safety? Her world spun, the line between loyalty and survival blurring as she struggled to choose. As the shadows gathered like a tempest outside, an unexpected face from her past dragged her deeper into the unfolding night. What secret did he hold? And was the truth she sought buried within that darkness? The ground shook again, the walls around her quivering in anticipation, leaving only one undeniable question lingering in the air: what would Sheila do next? Sheila's breath hitched as recognition clawed at her insides, a mix of disbelief and nostalgia. The man in the shadows wasn't just any figure. He was Ryan, her first love, the one who had slipped through her fingers years ago, leaving behind a swirl of what-ifs. Ryan? She managed to gasp, her voice lost in the chaos that surrounded them. A flash of desperation flickered in his eyes, cutting through the darkness like a beacon. He reached out, fingers trembling, drawing her in with an unspoken bond forged in shared history. "Help me." His voice was a rasp, barely audible above the chaos, but as she stared at him, the play of shadows behind him twisted and turned, an unseen throng just waiting to reclaim their lost soul. "What are you doing here?" she asked, as fear coursed through her veins. "I was trying to warn you about this." His head jerked toward the mass of darkness that thrummed hungrily at the edges of their reality. "You don't know what they can do." Sheila felt her chest tighten. Torn between the familiar spark igniting within her and the gnawing dread of the pursuit surrounding them, the noise in the café crescendoed, pressing in on her as bodies surged, stumbling back in retreat. "Get out of here!" Linda shouted from the corner, clutching her friend Carla, panic etched into their faces. The café was a sinking ship, chaos encapsulating them as tables continued to topple and people scrambled for the exits. The shadows pressed forward, and Ryan's once familiar figure began to shimmer and distort. "You have to choose," he urged, desperation clawing at his voice. "Please, Sheila, don't let them take you." A scream ripped through the air, mingling with the growls of darkness. Sheila could feel it, the pulse of something far more significant than the mere presence of Ryan, a choice that threatened everything she held dear. Her heart raced. Memories flashed through her mind, fragments of laughter by the lake, stolen kisses beneath the stars. But they were tainted now, mixed with the haunting imagery of the shadows prowling, stalking on the fringes of her reality. "Join me, Sheila." The shadowed figure's voice was alluring, a symphony of promises and peril. Its eyes burned bright, impatience growing with every second. He's going to lead you to ruin. But wasn't he the allure toward the dark just a trick? Or perhaps a way to escape the mundane? Sheila found herself teetering, the weight of the moment enveloping her as she tried to read the flickering emotions playing across Ryan's face. "Trust me," he shouted, raw desperation bleeding through his tone. "You have to." Suddenly, the shadows surged forward, threatening to swallow them both. Left and right, chaos erupted like a tempest. The weight of the world pressed down on her. It was a choice worse than splitting herself in two. Sheila took a deep breath. I can't let you go back into that." The tension split through her voice as she resisted the pull of the shadows clawing at her heels. "Then take my hand." Ryan extended it fully, his features a mix of hope and urgency. The cafe was tearing apart around them, 8 feet of darkness swallowing wooden beams and laughter alike. Just as she began to reach for him, the darkness lunged forward, a powerful wave crashing fiercely, lapping at her ankles. The cafe began to tilt, shadows forming grotesque shapes, their howls blending into an unnerving symphony of despair. "Sheila!" Ryan called, terror gripping him as he staggered backward. The shadows leered, their power palpable, ready to strike. In that split second, the enormity of her choice crushed down on her. She could either conquer the darkness with Ryan, or run from it, sacrificing him. With time suspended, she heard her soul crying out, demanding the truth. As the ground cracked and the shadows reached toward them, she faced the most significant decision of her life. Would she risk everything to save a part of her past, or protect her future from the wrath of darkness? The answer seemed tantalizingly close. And perhaps more horrifying than any shadow, was what that choice would cost her. As Sheila's hands trembled between shadows and hope, fear and longing danced in the air, the question loomed large: would she dare to confront the darkness and uncover the true depths of its power, or would she remain shackled in reluctance? Sheila's heart thundered in her chest as she wavered, lost in the depths of her decision. The shadows surged like a breath of darkness, eager to consume everything in their path, including her past and her calculations. The cafe seemed to twist in on itself like an imploding star. "Take my hand, Sheila." Ryan's voice cut through the enveloping chaos, trembling but alive with urgency. Each word pulled her closer to him, battling the darkness that threatened to devour her entirely. Those eyes, they held not just desperation but a flicker of hope, but the seductive whisper of the shadowed figure danced behind him. "You know he'll only drag you deeper, Sheila. Embrace the power we offer." Its voice was smooth, like silk, making her head spin, making her breathe deeper as fear intertwined with an electric thrill. She felt it surging, the promise of darkness, safety offered in the embrace of forbidden power. Yet in contrast, her memories flickered like fireflies, illuminating the path she once shared with Ryan. Laughs, late-night drives, whispered secrets beneath the stars. Could she abandon that? "Don't listen to it," Ryan yelled, his face stricken with desperation. "We can fight together. Don't let them confuse you." Chaos erupted again, the screams of the crowd swirling like wind through a storm. A table flipped, bags were trampled, and someone shrieked, "It's coming for us." The cafe's foundation felt like it was cracking beneath her feet. The shadows pulsed, hungry and relentless. Sheila's limbs began to move toward Ryan. "But what if you're wrong?" she whispered, insecurity lacing her thoughts. "What if you're not really here?" A shudder ran through Ryan. "I'm real, Sheila. This isn't just a memory. You're not safe." The intensity of his gaze pierced through her doubt, then she felt it, something icy brushing against her leg, another force trying to pull her back into that living nightmare behind Ryan. The figure loomed larger, its eyes burning into her soul, tightening the grip of terror. She was so close to him now, just inches apart. The shadows rolled beneath her, twisting and shifting as if alive, hungry and demanding. The ground felt like it might vanish beneath her in an instant, yet she was anchored by the gravity of Ryan's gaze. Please. Sheila's heart raced as she caught the fleeting spark of fear in the shadow's eyes. The moment stretched, a thin thread drawn taut between choices. Choose me, the voice urged, darkly seductive. You'll never have to feel pain again. I will protect you. What kind of protection comes at such a cost? She barely managed, the question echoing within her. What are you asking me to sacrifice? In that heart-stopping moment, she knew what she had to do. I want to believe in you. She shouted, dismissing the darkness that wanted to claim her. Just as she finally reached out towards Ryan, she felt a surge of energy envelop her. The shadows convulsed, almost sentient, as her choice ringed out a blazing rejection of their call. But as the air crackled, it was almost as if time paused. No! The shadows screamed in unison. Ryan's eyes widened with recognition, tinged with fear as the darkness clawed for its prize. Stay with me! He shouted, and then, with a sudden lurch, the ground beneath them surged upward, the shadows swirling, coiling like smoke. The cafe began to crumble away, splintering like fragile glass. And in the heart of the chaos, just as their fingers brushed, the darkness surged forward one last time, wild and ravenous, as if it could taste victory in the air. Would she be lost, or would hope pierce through the consuming blackness? As the shadow's whispers grew louder, her grasp on Ryan tightened. The cafe shook violently around them, and an ominous crack sounded through the air. The moment hinged on the fragile balance of choice. The past and the future were colliding. Would she lose Ryan forever, or were they about to find an escape that lay hidden within the storm of shadows? In the space of a heartbeat, everything teetered, and Sheila let out a defiant cry. Would she be strong enough to defy the darkness enveloping them both? The chaotic swirl of shadows intensified, dragging at her ankles like a grip of ice. Sheila felt the weight of the cafe's destruction bearing down, a thunderous roar echoing in her ears as the splintering wood and shattered glass erupted around them. Ryan's face, a canvas of determination and fear, anchored her amidst the encroaching dark. Hold on to me, he urged, his voice raw, cutting through the din. The desperation in his tone ignited something deep within her, a flicker of strength fighting to break free against the suffocating urge to succumb. Sheila's heart pounded wildly, her instinct to flee battling against the overpowering desire to stand firm. The moment stretched, stretching like the shadows, threatening to snap and pull her into the abyss. Just then, the presence behind Ryan surged forward, a grotesque maw of darkness stretching wide, hungry for despair. I will protect you from all this, it hissed, its voice oily and slick, slithering into her thoughts. You know what it's like to feel neglected, to stand alone in the spotlight of grief. I can silence your pain forever. But she wanted more than just silence. You can't take this from me, she screamed, her fists clenching with determination. You don't own me. The shadows recoiled momentarily, and Sheila seized the opportunity. She lunged forward, reaching for Ryan. Their fingertips grazed, and in that instant, she felt a surge of warmth explode between them, so fierce it was almost like fire. Ryan's face lit up, a mixture of joy and horror sparking in his eyes. Together, he shouted, pulling her closer. But the shadows clawed back, writhing like snakes, twisting and crushing everything with a relentless hunger. Reality began to warp, the cafe's walls melting like wax under a flame. No! Not again! Sheila breathed, panic threading through her veins. She could feel the edges of her own existence fraying, memories flooding her mind, faded laughter, tears late at night, a promise she thought long lost to time. The shadowed figure loomed closer, a twisted parody of everything she feared. This is your fate. Embrace it. It taunted, its voice a dull roar above the chaos. Ryan's eyes locked onto hers, desperation mingling with something else, understanding. Believe in us. Believe that life can be more than just survival. The conviction in his voice pushed against her fears, combating the seductive pull of the darkness. I do. She gasped, determination igniting in her chest. I believe in love and choice. In you, Ryan. A blinding light erupted from their joined hands, casting away the encroaching shadows, forcing them back with raw energy. The cafe trembled as though the very foundation of their world was awakening. Tables and chairs flew past them, but the light grew, wrapping around Sheila, shielding her like a cocoon. The figure shrieked, the sound piercing, but Sheila felt empowered. You don't control me, she cried, feeling the resonance of her declaration vibrate through her core. The darkness shrank away under the power of her determination, but the battle was far from over. We're not lost yet, Ryan yelled, tightening his grip as the ground lurched beneath them again. The once solid floor cracked, fissures snaking outward. They needed to escape before the cafe collapsed entirely. Jump! Ryan shouted. Without a second thought, Sheila took a leap into the blinding light, surrendering to its embrace. But as they soared above the chaos, the ground seemed to rip apart beneath them. The cafe's structure twisted dramatically, and fragments of wood and shattered glass erupted like a vicious storm. In that split second, a shrill, despairing scream echoed through the air, a chilling sound that wrapped around her heart, pulling her gaze back. Was it a cry of loss or warning? As the darkness clawed back, reaching for them with angry desperation, Sheila realized, she could not only protect herself by embracing the light. What if the shadows had something deeper to say? What if they carried answers she'd been too afraid to face? The truth hung in the air, suspended and unyielding. What if the darkness held secrets that might change everything she thought she knew? The world around Sheila twisted further, the blinding light becoming a swirling portal that seemed to stretch toward eternity. As she and Ryan fell through the luminous chaos, her heart raced not just from fear, but from the shocking realization of what could lie hidden beneath the surface of that darkness. Stay with me, Ryan shouted, battling the wave of energy threatening to separate them. His voice filled her with a fierce urgency. She couldn't let go, not now, not ever. But as they plunged deeper into that void, colors flickered ahead like fireflies in the night. In an instant, they burst forth into a strange, dimly lit space. It felt surreal, a stark contrast to the rubble of their cafe. It was a realm caught in some twilight where shadows still danced at the edges, whispering secrets as if they were alive. Sheila blinked, and everything felt surreal, as if they teetered on a threshold between realities. Where are we? She murmured, each word laced with trepidation. Somewhere between, Ryan replied, his eyes scanning the shifting shadows. We need to find a way back, but not before we understand what we're fighting. The ground beneath them pulsed, and fragmented memories surfaced like bubbles in murky water. Faces she thought she had forgotten flickered, her childhood dog, friends who drifted away, her first heartbreak. And then, there was a shadow, a figure momentarily emerging from the darkness. It looked hauntingly familiar, dressed in the fabric of past memories, its eyes piercing through her like arrows of regret. Embrace your pain, Sheila, it whispered, its voice melodious yet sinister. You cannot escape what you are. Every choice you made led you to this moment. No. Sheila stepped back, summoning her voice. You don't get to tell me who I am. I want to be my past. The shadow laughed, a chilling echo that reverberated through the air. But the past is part of you, it's what binds you to this world. You can either fight it or accept it. Ryan squeezed her hand, grounding her in that tempest of memories. Sheila, listen to it, he urged, desperation creeping into his tone. What if it has something we need? What if understanding our past is the key to facing our future? As those words sunk in, Sheila felt an emotional wave wash over her. Would acknowledging her pain really set her free? Her heart raced as she shared a determined glance with Ryan. Maybe diving into the shadows could unveil deeper truths buried beneath layers of sorrow and regret. The shadow shifted, drawing closer, and Sheila noticed that its form began to morph, revealing echoes of her choices, regrets and triumphs intertwined within it. See how your life is painted through struggle? It said, the voice both haunting and alluring. You think shutting me out will help? It's time to stop running from yourself. Stop! Sheila shouted, pulling Ryan toward her as the darkness twisted closer, desperate to snatch them back into despair. Yet a strange warmth ignited inside her, a flicker of recognition that perhaps embracing the light meant facing the very shadows she feared. As she inhaled the thick air laden with emotions, she understood the weight of every decision. It wasn't about surrendering to darkness, but rather finding illumination within it. She took a step forward, heart pounding, ready to confront the figure that held pieces of her fractured spirit. "Show me," she demanded. "Show us what we need to do." The figure sneered, shadows swirling around it. "Very well," it whispered ominously. "Let us see if you can handle the truth that lives in the darkness." With that declaration hanging in the air, a jarring shift occurred. The ground trembled, the shadows surged, and Sheila braced herself for the onslaught of truths she might wish she had never uncovered. What awaited her in that darkness? What vital revelations were ready to surface, potentially altering her destiny forever? The tremors intensified, and Sheila felt the floor buckle beneath her feet. Ryan tightened his grip on her hand as the shadow loomed closer, its presence now a storm pulling her deeper into an abyss she had long tried to ignore. A suffocating dread gripped her throat, but she pulled in a shaky breath. "What do you want from us?" she breathed, her determination teetering on the edge of panic. "Your acceptance of reality," the shadow replied, its voice weaving through the fabric of the room like an invisible thread. "You must acknowledge the past before you can embrace your future." With a flick of its wrist, the darkness shifted, unveiling a scene from her childhood, her mother's laughter intertwined with the smell of fresh-baked cookies. But beneath that comforting moment loomed another memory, the day her mother had left. Sheila's heart sank as anger battled with nostalgia. "Make it stop." "Why should I?" The shadow taunted, a cold grin playing across its features. "This is who you are. A mix of light and dark. The absence and presence of love." Ryan sensed her struggle. "Sheila, don't run from it," he urged, his eyes wide with concern. "Face it head on. Look what it made you." The shadow's laughter echoed ominously, pulling at the threads of her emotions like a skilled puppeteer. Sheila wrestled with the familiar ache. Could she really confront her past? To step into these memories was to expose herself, to risk shattering everything she thought she knew about who she was. "Look closer," the figure hissed, its dark hands gesturing toward the swirling memories. "You are not merely a victim of your past. You thrive on it. Every decision, every heartbreak shaped you into someone resilient. Accept it." The images shifted again, now showing her teenage years, a series of rejections, stinging betrayals from friends willing to discard her with cruel words. Her jaw clenched, fresh grief surfacing from the resentments she thought she had buried. The shadow fed off her turmoil, growing larger and more formidable as it absorbed her pain. "Feel it," the shadow commanded, its voice a blend of seduction and menace. "Only through embracing your truth can you ever hope to unlock your potential. This isn't the way." Ryan shouted, his voice cutting through the haze, desperate and fierce. "We can't stay here. We have to find light." But Sheila was imprisoned by her own memories, a thousand shards pricking at her heart. Just then, she remembered her grandmother's words, wisdom whispered in the dark, "Only when you confront the shadows will you find the strength that lies within." A flicker of resolve ignited in her chest, and she stared boldly at the shadow. "I won't let my past define me. I embrace every struggle, every tear, and I will make something beautiful from it." The shadow recoiled, its sneer faltering for the first time. "Do you think acceptance is enough? You think that true strength will come from mere acknowledgement?" Sheila felt a surge of warmth spreading through her, wrapping around her heart like a protective shield. "It's the first step, and I won't take it alone." Ryan stepped beside her, his presence a powerful anchor. "We'll face this together. We're stronger as a team." With those words, the darkness pulsated violently, rippling as though challenged by their unity. The shadow swelled, filling the space with a cacophony of memories both suffocating and liberating. Sheila's heart thundered, yet her determination began to light the corners of the ominous room. "Then let us break these chains," she said fiercely, taking a bold step forward. "We're ready to move beyond." Suddenly, the ground trembled again, and the room shifted. The shadow's laughter contorted into something unrecognizable, a sound cutting through the air like glass. In a blinding flash, Sheila and Ryan were engulfed in light, lifting them into a new, uncharted territory. What awaited them now, a new challenge or salvation? And what shadows would emerge as they stepped beyond their pasts into an uncertain future? As the light enveloped Sheila and Ryan, everything shifted. The very essence of their surroundings flickered like an old movie reel caught in a projector's grasp. Gradually, the brilliance faded, and they found themselves standing in an expansive field beneath a sky painted with every shade of blue imaginable. "What just happened?" Ryan whispered, awestruck. The vibrant colors washed over them, cleansing the remnants of the dark chaos they had just escaped. "I think we made it," Sheila breathed, feeling a weight lift from her shoulders. The horizon stretched endlessly before them, filled with a sense of possibility. For the first time in years, she felt free, but shadows still lingered in the edges of her mind, wavering like the looming twilight. "Is it truly over?" she asked, uncertainty threatening to resurface. Ryan turned to her, a confident spark in his eyes. "It doesn't have to be. We faced the darkness together. That means we can face anything." As they ventured into the field, the sun warmed their skin, and fragrant wildflowers danced all around. Each step felt lighter, almost as if they were shedding pieces of their past with every stride. Laughter floated in the air, they could almost hear the echo of joyous memories longing to be reclaimed. But just ahead, two figures emerged from the shadows, framed by the sunlit glow. It was Linda and Carla, their faces a mix of relief and astonishment. "You two actually made it," Linda shouted, rushing toward them, arms wide open. "Did we really just survive that?" Carla asked, disbelief painting her features. "We thought we lost you." Sheila felt a rush of warmth fill her heart. The bond with her friends felt stronger than ever. "We faced our shadows, but we couldn't have done it without you. We need each other." As they hugged, a sense of completeness washed over the group. No more superficial joys, they would dig deep. It was time to face life with authenticity, without fear. After the chaos, after the darkness, came the dawn of understanding. The field before them shimmered, a vibrant testament to a new beginning. "We'll create our own stories now," Sheila said, her voice steady and hopeful. "Together, we'll embrace love, even if it means heartbreak sometimes. It's worth it." "Exactly," Ryan added, standing tall next to her. "We'll introduce the beauty of our pasts to the future we're building. No more running." The friends formed a circle, united in purpose. They could feel the pulse of their hearts blending together, the promise of brighter days ahead igniting excitement in their chests. But then the shadow they thought they defeated surged into view, twisting ominously at the edge of the field. Its presence felt lighter, less menacing, but still there, a reminder of their struggles. "Not again," Linda muttered, stepping back. "What does it want now?" Sheila stood her ground. "It's not about fighting it. We've learned to coexist with it. The shadow reminds us of our vulnerabilities, but it also teaches us resilience. We won't be afraid of it anymore." With renewed confidence, Sheila stepped forward, asserting her voice. "You don't control us, nor will you break us. We'll embrace every part of ourselves, the light and the shadow. We choose to rise above." Unbelievably, the shadow began to dissolve, the edges furling into soft wisps that dispersed into the sky. They watched as it transformed, reshaping itself into a familiar symbol, an ethereal light that lingered above them, a guardian of their newfound journey. As they stood together, love and courage entwined, Sheila grasped Ryan's hand, feeling the warmth of her friends beside her. This is just the beginning, she said, gaze locked with everyone around her. Together, they ventured forth into the boundless field, ready to create unforgettable memories, to cultivate love and vulnerability, to heal through connection. They would embrace every experience, every emotion, because they saw the power of unity firsthand, and as the sun dipped low, casting golden rays across the horizon, one undeniable truth settled deep within: they were no longer just survivors, but thriving warriors of their own stories, ready to pave their way to the future. And as their laughter echoed through the field, a powerful realization surged through Sheila: each shadow they faced became a part of their strength. They would not be shackled by it, but rather harness it to light their paths ahead. Sheila turned to her friends, ready to shout, "Let us go conquer this together." But, heartbreakingly, she also knew it was time to part ways. No longer weighed down by shadows, their lives would continue on separate journeys, each still intertwined by the threads of friendship. With one last collective gaze, they turned toward the sunset, filling their hearts with the warmth of hope, and in that moment, as the sun disappeared below the horizon, Sheila whispered quietly, "Thank you for being my light. Now, here's the moment of truth for you." If you love this conclusion, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Now's your chance. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and ensure these tales reach all those who need to hear them. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about what happens next. I want to hear your thoughts, and don't hold back. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. It's your time to shine.